Hey everyone, today I've got your Big Eyes movie review. This is a drama about painter Margaret Keane, whose Big Eyes paintings were taken credit by her husband in the 50s throughout the 60s. As far as the story goes, this was a very interesting movie that I have been dying to see, and I was hoping that it was going to be at least decent because I heard that Tim Burton was going to be directing it, so I was thinking, okay, this better not be like some of his previous works, and of course, when I did a Trailer Thursday video about this, the trailer made the movie look actually normal. Like, it reminded me a little bit of, like, Big Fish and, maybe not as fantastical as, some of his previous works were. But it did have a pretty interesting story, and it's kind of like a drama slash biopic about Margaret Keane, who's this famous painter, and it looked like a pretty decent movie. Now, I'm not a huge art person. I don't really like paintings a lot, but it seemed like a good enough story and could potentially have some Oscar buzz surrounding it. As far as the casting goes, you've got Amy Adams, who plays Margaret Keane, and she's having to deal with a lot in her life. And she has to put on this brave face when she takes care of her daughter. She's a single parent, and then she's being divorced and then remarried to a compulsive liar who prevents her from having her own voice. Now, that is kind of like a really terrible situation, especially back in the day when women didn't really have a lot of rights and they weren't always taken seriously. And it was just pretty interesting to see how far she was going to take her character. Now, I didn't do my research, so I don't know enough about the actual painter herself, who had to deal with all this, and she was very well known for her Big Eyes paintings, but then it was all taken away because Christoph Waltz, who plays Walter Keane, and he was supposedly an artist in his own right, and he took advantage of his wife's work and bring home the bacon instead of having her do all that. Now, that's kind of like where they got into this whole historical aspect of it, of the movie, and it, I don't know how much I was going to buy into this whole thing. I mean, I was more interested in the character development and how the characters were driving the story, and it seemed like there was just all of this back and forth, like arguing and sort of like secretive things with Margaret Keane and her husband, and there was just a lot of pain, and it seemed like the paintings that she kept on drawing to make her husband more successful, it seemed like they were getting just really, really sad and depressing, and it kind of shows that throughout her life and through the 10 years that this whole situation took place, just seemed to go downhill from there. And it made me wonder, even while watching the movie, when was she going to have her voice be heard, instead of having her voice be heard through the paintings, but actually saying no, this is the last straw, these are my paintings, go away. Once again, women aren't taken seriously during this time. And there were some other pretty good performances by Danny Houston, Terrence Stamp, Kristen Ritter, and Jason Schwartzman, who all make up sort of this comedic slash dramatic cast. And there were some things I did like about this movie, and even though this was an unlikely Tim Burton movie, and it wasn't as fantastical as his previous works, but it did have some comic relief, but it really did stray away from the comical aspects of it, and having it to be more serious, where it's taking the characters as far as they could, and they're just trying to deal with all this mess and then eventually have a court date where they have to settle their differences. I don't know if I would recommend seeing this movie. I would see it again, but maybe not right away and maybe sometime down the line. But overall, I would say that Big Eyes was a decent movie. It wasn't great, but it was just good. And if you guys like these types of movies or are a big fan of Tim Burton, you should see this movie because it is different, which is one of the reasons why I liked this movie in the first place. So I would give this 3.5 hearts on the heart rate scale. So let me know in the comments what you guys think of Big Eyes. And as always, you guys can subscribe to my channel. I've got more movie reviews, movie updates, come back every week for a Chill Thursday video. You guys can also like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter. And I will see you guys later.